They sent us a soft-skinned earther. This academy's standards must be slipping. Tobin Merrick hadn't expected applause walking through the gates of Valkyrie Defense Academy, but he also hadn't quite anticipated the specific flavor of contempt waiting for him either. Two cadets near the entrance, both Valkyrie, pale, hairless, augmented with the standard silver-white exosuit plating their species favored for combat training, had clocked him from 30m out and immediately decided his arrival was worth mocking. "Look at this one," the taller cadet said, not bothering to lower his voice. "Skin like wet paper. They really sent humans here." His companion laughed. The particular laugh of someone who'd never personally tested whether their assumptions held weight against reality. Maybe Earth ran out of soldiers worth keeping. Tobin kept walking, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, expression carefully neutral. He'd heard variations of this exact joke across 4 different coalition training facilities over the past 2 years, delivered by species who genuinely believed human biology made them inherently fragile. A misconception built almost entirely on humanity's comparatively soft exterior and complete absence of natural armor plating. What none of them factored into their assumptions, because almost nobody outside Earth bothered researching it thoroughly, was Earth's own threat classification within coalition databases, a designation most species glanced at once and immediately forgot, assuming it referenced some minor environmental quirk rather than anything operationally relevant. The Academy's entrance arch contained a standard biometric security scanner designed primarily to verify identification and flag known threats among incoming personnel. It wasn't designed to make commentary. It simply processed data and displayed relevant classifications for security personnel monitoring the gate. When Tobin's identification cleared the scanner's threshold, the overhead display didn't simply confirm his enrollment credentials. It blazed bright crimson, automated text scrolling across the arch in bold, unmissable lettering. Asterisk asterisk Earthborn Threat Classification. Asterisk 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 Deathworld Adjacent. Asterisk 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 Do not engage without authorization. Asterisk asterisk The 2 cadets who'd been laughing moments earlier went very quiet. "What does that mean?" the shorter one asked, his earlier confidence evaporating into genuine confusion. Tobin paused, glancing back at the warning with the weary patience of someone who'd seen this exact reaction play out before in slightly different combinations across multiple academies. "It means," he said, "that somewhere in coalition threat assessment protocols, somebody decided humans deserved a warning label." He shrugged, adjusting his duffel bag. "Probably overblown bureaucracy. I wouldn't worry about it." He wasn't lying. Exactly. He just wasn't explaining the part that mattered. Earth's Deathworld Adjacent classification existed because coalition threat analysts, after decades of cataloging human combat performance across joint operations, had eventually concluded that humanity's baseline physiology evolved across millennia on a planet stocked with predators, diseases, and environmental hazards considerably more aggressive than anything most coalition species had ever personally encountered. It produced soldiers whose pain tolerance, adaptability, and sheer stubborn refusal to acknowledge defeat skewed dramatically outside normal statistical models. It wasn't that humans were biologically armored or physically overwhelming in any single measurable category. It was that humans had spent their entire evolutionary history being chased, infected, starved, and generally inconvenienced by a planet that actively wanted them dead, and had somehow collectively refused to take the hint. The Academy's training simulations began the following week, and Tobin's cohort included both cadets who'd mocked him at the gate, a fact that amused him considerably more than he let on. The simulation that mattered, the one cadets remembered years afterward, involved a multi-day endurance exercise through deliberately hostile terrain conditions designed to test resource management, injury response, and psychological resilience under sustained adversity. Most cadets, regardless of species, treated the exercise as exactly what it appeared to be: difficult, exhausting, occasionally miserable. Tobin treated it like a moderately inconvenient Tuesday. On day 3, when the simulation's environmental hazards escalated into genuinely dangerous territory, a controlled rockslide event designed to test emergency response under pressure, the taller cadet who'd mocked him at the gate took a glancing impact that fractured his forearm, leaving him stranded on an unstable slope while his squad scrambled to formulate a rescue approach that wouldn't risk additional casualties. Tobin reached him first, not because protocol assigned him the role, but because he'd already calculated the fastest stable route up the slope while everyone else was still debating theoretical approaches. "This is going to hurt," he said, examining the fracture with brisk efficiency. "Worse than it already does?" the cadet asked, teeth gritted. "Considerably," Tobin said. "But you'll walk away from it instead of waiting for proper extraction equipment that's 11 minutes out." He paused. "Your choice. I can wait if you'd rather." The cadet, whose name Tobin had learned was Thren, considered this through a haze of pain and stubborn pride, then nodded once. What followed wasn't gentle, and Tobin didn't pretend otherwise, but it was efficient, controlled, and executed with the specific calm of someone who'd clearly done far worse under far less forgiving circumstances. 3 weeks later, with his arm fully healed and the simulation long concluded, Thren found Tobin in the Academy's training yard, working through exercises alone in the early morning quiet most cadets avoided. "I wanted to ask," Thren said, "about the warning at the gate." Tobin didn't pause his exercises. "What about it?" "Death world adjacent," Thren said. "I looked it up properly this time. Actually read the classification criteria instead of assuming it was bureaucratic nonsense." He hesitated. "It's not nonsense, is it?" "No," Tobin said. "It's just inconvenient for people who'd rather believe soft skin means soft everything else." Thren absorbed this quietly, watching Tobin complete another set with the same unhurried efficiency he'd shown on that unstable slope. "I'm sorry," Thren finally said. "For the gate. For assuming." Tobin stopped, considering him properly for the first time since their first encounter. "You're not the first person to assume wrong," he said. "You won't be the last. The only thing that actually matters is what you do once you've learned better." "And what should I do?" Thren asked. Tobin almost smiled. "Stop assuming. Start asking questions. And maybe don't elbow your friends when something unfamiliar walks through the gate. You never know what you're actually looking at until it matters." Thren nodded slowly, something shifting in his expression that looked, for the first time, genuinely thoughtful rather than reflexively dismissive. They trained together more frequently after that. An unlikely partnership built on a fractured forearm and a warning label nobody had bothered explaining properly until it mattered. Tobin never brought up the gate again, and Thren never needed him to. Some lessons, once actually learned, didn't require repeating.